Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. You'd be surprised how fast people show you who they are when you can't stand up without help. 6 months ago, I had spinal surgery. Not the kind you can put off with ice packs and wishful thinking. Real full, reconstructive lumbar fusion, steel rods, screws, the works. It wasn't optional either. I'd been dodging it for years. Life-work excuses. There's always something more urgent than your own health, until one day you wake up and can't feel your toes. My surgeon was blunt. "If you don't do this now," he said, tapping the MRI scans, "you're looking at permanent nerve damage, maybe a wheelchair." That got my attention. I remember the way Cynthia's hand tightened around mine in that moment. She didn't flinch, just nodded once, like she'd already made peace with it, like she knew what needed to be done and she'd do it. She came to every consult after that, brought her little leather-bound notebook with her and wrote down every name, number, and phrase that sounded even remotely important. Asked sharp questions about surgical risk, recovery time, long-term mobility. She kept the surgeons on their toes. I half expected one of them to offer her a residency. At home she was the same, unshakable, efficient. She handled the insurance paperwork, sorted out the FMLA stuff with my office, arranged for the medical bed to be delivered the day before the surgery. "You don't need to think about anything," she said one night, sitting on the edge of our bed while I tried to find a comfortable position that didn't feel like fire in my spine. "Just get through this. I'll handle everything." "You sure?" I asked, my voice hoarse. I hated feeling useless. She leaned in and brushed my hair back. "Jason, you've done more than enough. It's okay to let someone else take the wheel for a while." She said that a lot, actually. "Don't worry, just rest. Let me take care of it." It sounded like love or something close enough to it. We've been married 11 years. No kids, no major fights, no cheating. At least not that I ever saw. Things between us had gotten quieter the past couple of years. Less flirting, more scheduling. We sat next to each other a lot but didn't always talk. I chalked that up to stress. Age, familiarity. She'd always been a little colder than me. I was the one who remembered birthdays, anniversaries, what wine she liked when she was in a good mood. She kept the fridge organized by expiration date and once built an Excel spreadsheet for our vacation packing list. I thought that was balance. Anyway, the surgery went fine. At least that's what the surgeon said when I came to blinking under the haze of anesthesia and fluorescent lights. I didn't feel fine. I felt like someone had sawed my spine in half and glued it back together with barbed wire. But they said everything went according to plan. Clean fusion, no complications. I was in the hospital for a full week. 7 long, blurry days of IVs, bland food, sponge baths, and nurses waking me up just when I managed to fall asleep. Cynthia was there most mornings, sitting in the corner chair with her tablet, answering work emails, or skimming some articles she'd inevitably summarized for me. "Apparently, lack of sleep post-op can cause cognitive fog," she said one afternoon, not looking up. "But you already had that, so you should be fine." I gave her a weak smile. "Remind me to marry you again when I'm not high on painkillers." She smirked. "1 spinal fusion per marriage. That's my limit." After a week, they moved me to a short-term rehab facility a few blocks from the hospital. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and quiet. I had my own room, a decent mattress, and a bathroom with rails bolted to every wall. Physical therapy started the next morning. They didn't ease me into it either. I was barely able to sit upright for more than 30 minutes. But they had me trying to stand on day 2. I couldn't drive. I could barely shower without someone there in case I slipped. It was humiliating. Honestly, you don't realize how many parts of you are stitched together by pride until you can't even wipe your own legs. That's when Cynthia said she'd handle the finances. "Don't even think about it," she said, as she helped arrange my tray table one evening. "You just focus on healing. I've got the rest." "You sure?" I asked, wincing as I shifted in the bed. "The mails, a mess. The utilities. I've got it." She brushed invisible lint off my blanket. Calm as ever. "I'll sort the bills, deal with the mortgage, reschedule your clients if anything urgent comes up. I know where everything is. I have the login." And she Did. She had access to all our joint accounts, my business email, the mortgage, the credit cards, everything. We'd always split the tasks, but she knew where the keys were digitally and literally. We'd built our life like that together, but independently competent. I couldn't even open my laptop without help some days. The meds had me foggy by mid-afternoon. It made sense to let her take the wheel for a while. So I didn't ask questions, didn't double-check, didn't open my banking app or peek at my business dashboard. Cynthia said she had it covered, and I believed her. I didn't check a damn thing. Not until the server showed up in the rehab clinic lobby. I thought he was a delivery guy at first. The man who walked into the rehab clinic lobby looked ordinary. Button-up shirt, clipboard in hand. He scanned the room, zeroed in on me, then walked over without hesitation. "Jason Graham?" he asked, polite but mechanical. "Yeah." He handed me a padded envelope and held out the clipboard. "Need your signature here?" I signed, thinking maybe Cynthia had ordered something, maybe a get-well gift or some medical paperwork. But the envelope was too flat, too quiet. I opened it right there in the chair, still strapped into my back brace, legs aching from PT. Inside were the divorce papers. My first thought was, there has to be a mistake. I stared at the words blurry at first. Dissolution of marriage. My name. Her name filed 5 days earlier. I flipped through every page searching for something that would explain it. An accusation, a betrayal, even just a sign of emotion. But it was clean, clinical. No mention of infidelity, no irreconcilable differences, just finality. She was requesting full control of our checking and savings accounts. Her name on the car, a clean break, no fight, no noise, like someone carefully packing up their half of the chessboard mid-aim and walking away without saying checkmate. The return address wasn't our house. It was a P.O. box in a part of town I'd never even been to. I read the whole thing 3 times, that night. Sitting in bed with 3 pillows propping me up, my brace creaking every time I shifted. The pain meds didn't help. They dulled the edges, but my chest still felt like it was being hollowed out by a slow, steady hand. And what haunted me most wasn't the shock. It was the calm, the organization, the sense of planning. She'd signed it. Her lawyer had signed it. It was already in motion before I ever opened the envelope, before my first unaided step. This wasn't something she decided over breakfast. This had been set in motion while I was lying on an operating table, while I was learning to stand again. While I was trusting her to keep the lights on in our life, she came to the facility the next day, breezing in like nothing had changed. Wore a soft blue sweater like she dressed for a Hallmark visit. Walked in with a tote bag on her shoulder, a laundry basket in one hand, and one of those overpriced fruit smoothies I used to like. "Hey," she said brightly, like we were still pretending. I washed her flannels. "Thought you'd want some real clothes instead of those gowns." I didn't say anything at first, just watched her unpack the bag like everything was normal. She placed a folded hoodie on the chair, adjusted the blinds, then looked at me like I was supposed to thank her. The nurse came in to check my meds. I waited. I stared at Cynthia until the door clicked shut behind the nurse. "You had divorce papers served while I was still in a brace," I said. She blinked just once, then tilted her head. I could actually see the gears turning behind her eyes, like she was sorting through her filing cabinet of excuses, picking the one that sounded the least cruel. "I didn't want to do it like that," she said finally. Her voice was soft, practiced, but it made the most sense. "You've been out of it. I didn't want to stress you during recovery." Then she added, like she was offering me a pillow for the knife, "In my back, it's nothing personal, just business." I just nodded. What else was I supposed to do? I didn't flinch, didn't raise my voice. I just looked at her like I was watching someone else's scene play out on TV. She kept going like we were, having a civil conversation about groceries. "Don't worry, okay? I've got everything handled. The mortgage, the bills, your business taxes. I even called Ryan. He's been great. I told him you'd be out of commission for a while." I couldn't speak, couldn't find the part of myself that knew how to respond to betrayal spoken in such a gentle, reasonable tone. She reached down and smoothed my blanket, My blanket then leaned in and kissed me on the forehead like I was an elderly relative, half asleep and grateful for company. The whole thing had a choreographed feel, like she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. Then she left. No tears, no scene, just walked out with the empty tote bag and that smoothie cup still sitting untouched on my nightstand. I stared at the ceiling for a long time after that. Eventually, I picked up my phone and scrolled through the contacts until I found Ryan. Ryan had been my accountant for 8 years, long before I ever met Cynthia. We'd gone to the same undergrad. I even went to his wedding. We hadn't talked much in the last year or two since I'd automated most of my filings, but I trusted him? He picked up on the second ring. "Jason, man, been a while. You okay?" "I've been better," I said. My voice sounded flat even to me. "Can you talk?" "Yeah, of course. What's going on?" "She served me," I said. "Divorce papers. Just got them yesterday." There was a pause, on the line. "Damn," he muttered. "I didn't realize she hadn't told you." Something in my stomach turned to stone. "What do you mean?" "She called me 2 weeks ago. Told me you were going to be unavailable indefinitely. Said you asked her to step in and manage your accounts while you recovered." She said I asked. Yeah, sounded official. She had all the passwords, the pins. Said you wanted everything streamlined. I figured with the surgery, maybe you told her to get ahead of things. What exactly did she do? Ryan took a breath. She closed your solo savings, moved the funds into a joint asset pool, shut down your old business account, claimed she was opening a consolidated filing account to simplify the tax year. I felt my hands go cold, fingers curling instinctively against the fabric of the blanket. What else? She had the bank route all statements to a new address, said it was for estate planning. Estate planning? I repeated. Yeah. Said something about minimizing legal red tape in case, something happened during recovery. Something like me, dying on the table. Something like her making sure the paperwork would fall in her lap without question. He hesitated. "Jason," he added quietly, using my middle name the way he used to when things got serious. "She moved almost everything while you were under anesthesia." I sat there with the phone to my ear, staring at the wall across from my bed like it might explain something. I didn't tell her I knew. There was nothing to gain from a fight. No bank account she hadn't already emptied, no password she hadn't already changed, and honestly, I didn't have the energy to argue. My spine was being held together by titanium. I couldn't even sit for an hour without swallowing something that made the ceiling blur and the clock jump. What was I going to do? Chase her down in a parking lot? Argue in a courtroom in a brace and hospital socks? So, I didn't confront her. I listened. I healed. And I made a list. While I was stuck in that rehab bed trying to wiggle my toes and not cry about it, I cataloged everything I could remember. Every account, every login, every name she might have touched. She'd moved things, but only the things that she could see. Our shared checking account, my business account. The modest investment portfolio I'd barely touched, but still funded. She changed addresses, rerouted the statements, updated the contact info on the utilities, the health insurance, even the damn streaming services. She didn't miss a detail, but I held a lot more than what she moved. There was a second LLC. I formed it 5 years before I ever met her. It technically owned the house. I started it when I bought the property back in 2009 during the crash. Got it dirt cheap with a crumbling porch and a roof that leaked like a sieve. I held on to it. Let it sit there gathering dust until we moved in together years later. She always assumed we owned it jointly. I never corrected her. Why would I? We were married back then. It felt romantic to let her feel like we were building something together. She didn't know about the trust. It wasn't huge mid-5 figures, but it had been sitting in a managed account since my 25th birthday. My uncle set it up after a good year in the markets. Told me it was for when you need a parachute. I never needed it, never touched it, never even brought it up. It never mixed. With our marital funds, it was quiet money, the kind you forget you have until you don't. She didn't take those because she didn't know where to look. The day after I realized all this, I called my lawyer, not the one Cynthia and I had used for the will and taxes. I wanted someone with no loyalties. Ryan gave me a name. Sharon Smith, he said, private, sharp, doesn't play games. When I called her office, she answered on the second ring. This is Sharon. I gave her my name. Paused. I think I'm about to get divorced. There was no sympathy in her tone, which I appreciated. Just focus. Send me everything she touched, she said, and everything she didn't. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved carefully, quietly, like I was disarming a bomb. I transferred ownership of my remaining assets into a new holding company. Sharon helped draft the papers. I revoked Cynthia's access from every business tool, every platform, every internal client dashboard she might have had auto-login to. I locked my credit, froze the joint accounts pending dispute. I pulled the last $8,000 she hadn't noticed and dropped it into the trust. I didn't yell. I didn't text her. I didn't leave a voicemail. I didn't stop the divorce. I just signed the paperwork quietly, neatly, legally. She wanted out. She'd get it. But not with the house she didn't own. Not with the business she never built. And not with the money she didn't earn. The first thing to go was the car. It was technically hers, or at least that's what she always told people. She drove it. She insured it. She took it in for detailing like it was a damn trophy. She used to say, "My car needs a spa day." Like it had feelings. But the lease, that was through my business. It was a tax write-off originally, back when I still thought of things in terms of we. She drove it because I let her, because it made sense, because I was in love and didn't draw lines in the sand. That version of me dead and buried the moment I signed those divorce papers. So when I shut down the business account, I called the lender, explained that I no longer authorized the vehicle for use under company resources. No theatrics. Just a 5-minute call and a follow-up email. 3 days later, it vanished from the lot. At her apartment complex, probably while she was upstairs sipping a pressed juice and scrolling Instagram. She texted me that night. No hello, no punctuation, just one word. Seriously? I stared at the screen for a second. Then I put my phone face down on the nightstand and didn't answer. What was I going to say? You started this. Next came the mail. She must have forgotten, or maybe she never knew. I had a mail hold placed weeks earlier. Right after I discovered the P.O. box, everything was being rerouted to Sharon's office downtown. I figured it was safer that way, kept the junk mail and paper statements from landing in the wrong hands. Most of it was trash. Coupon books, credit offers, a suspicious number of catalogs from home decor companies we'd never used. But one envelope stood out. A forwarded billing notice from her new apartment. She'd listed me as a co-signer, not a reference. A co-signer. My full legal name. No hesitation, no heads up, no signature. Just assumed I'd back it like I was her dad or something. Sharon, I said, sliding the envelope across her desk later that week. Tell me this is illegal. She scanned it, didn't blink. It's sloppy, she said. Not illegal, but fixable. She drafted a certified letter to the property management company, attached a notarized statement revoking all financial association with the lease, included the divorce papers, a statement from the trust account, and a formal line that read, Mr. Graham holds no liability, financial or otherwise, for Ms. Rivera's rental obligations. They didn't call me, they just updated the file. That was when I realized Cynthia had been playing checkers. I'd been thinking in chess the whole time. I just hadn't realized it yet. A week later, Sharon asked me to come in again. She had that tight smile she used when something was both satisfying and slightly radioactive. Do you want to hear the poetic part or the tactical part first? She asked. Tactical, I said. Always. She used your client deposit account, Sharon said. Transferred funds directly from it during your surgery. That makes it a corporate misallocation. I sat back in the chair. Not theft. She shook her head. No, not criminal, but it's enough. Enough for what? To file a formal notice of misappropriation with her employer. I blinked. You already sent it. Certified letter, HR, legal, and her direct supervisor. With full documentation, I exhaled. Jesus, she'll probably keep her job, Sharon added. A bit. Softer now, but they froze her access to the company card. Then HR scheduled a performance review. I wasn't surprised. Sharon had warned me. Once the company card was frozen, things would start to slide. No access meant no perks, no travel budget, no client dinners, just a blinking cursor and a stack of policies she'd probably never read. People like Cynthia knew how to move when things were soft and quiet. But when it got formal, when paperwork started crossing desks with letterhead and timestamps, that's when she began to stumble. She called twice that day, once in the morning, right around 9 somewhere, and then again after lunch. My phone lit up with her name, Cynthia Mobile. I let it ring, out both times. No voicemail, no text, just silence until 9:12 p.m. That's when the email came in. Subject line: "Can we please talk before this gets worse?" I saw the preview, the little snippet. "Jason, I know things have been hard, but..." And that was enough. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. That kind of subject line doesn't mean apology. It means negotiation. It means she felt the walls start to close and wanted me to leave a window open. I left the message unread and got some sleep for the first time in what felt like a month. Tuesday morning, I walked out of rehab unassisted. No brace, no walker, just me, my shoes, and my physical therapist standing behind me with his arms crossed and a proud smirk on his face. He took a video for the record. I nodded, thanked him, and didn't send it to anyone. The sun outside felt sharper than I remembered, like the air had more edges. I squinted as I got into the car, and for the first time since the surgery, I felt something close to peace. The next day I went home. The real home. The one with the creaky step on the back porch and the hallway where I once spilled a bucket of paint, trying to impress her with a DIY upgrade. The same house she told her friends she was probably going to sell once the divorce finalized. She never knew the LLC held the title. I never corrected her when she talked about listing it, staging it, finally getting a place that felt more like me. I let her keep imagining she owned it right up until the final round of paperwork hit her inbox. A full packet, divorce finalization, itemized settlements, property clarification, all signed and delivered. She was getting nothing. Her response came the next morning. Not through email, not through text, voicemail. She didn't yell. She sounded like someone trying not to. "Jason, I don't understand what this is. I thought we were. I mean, I only did what I had to. You were out of it. I didn't know what to expect. You weren't communicating. I handled things. I didn't want it to get ugly. I'm not trying to fight you." Click. An hour later, another message. Tearful this time, I was scared. "You don't get that, do you? You were laid up in a hospital bed, and I was doing everything. I didn't know if you'd even be the same. I thought we were a team." That one cut deeper than I expected. Not because it was true, but because I remembered the version of us that once might have made it true. The next was shorter, sharper. "You're being spiteful. I hope you know that. I hope you're proud of yourself." I didn't answer that one either. The fourth and final message came the following night. Calm, cold, just 6 words. I thought we were handling this like adults. By the end of that week, a formal statement landed in Sharon's inbox. Her lawyer was withdrawing from the case, non-payment. Well, lawyers are expensive. She'd maxed out her retainer, trying to freeze accounts that didn't exist anymore. I watched her name vanish like a leaf in wind from every part of my life she'd once insisted she belonged to. First, the insurance. The rep barely asked any questions, just confirmed I was the policyholder, made the edits, removed her line. It was gone in minutes. Then the lease. The management company processed the updated records Sharon sent. My name untangled from hers, erased from the cosigner section she'd slipped me into like it was casual, like I wouldn't notice. Even the address history, utilities, voting registration, credit profiles. I sat one night with a bottle of water and watched the last of it fall off the records like she'd never even lived here. She'd done everything she could to claim territory, to mark space, to act like this life was hers, to sort out, label, and sell. But now it was like she'd never been here at all. The last message she sent came on a Sunday night. I was sitting in the kitchen, bare feet on the cold tile, stretching my back out for the first time in hours without needing to pop a pill. It was a small victory, but it felt bigger than anything I'd had in months. Just me, my breath, and the quiet hum of the fridge. Then the phone buzz. Cynthia Mobile. I didn't pick it up. I didn't flinch. She didn't even say hello. Just this. I don't understand how you can be this cold. The message hung there like smoke. I stared at the screen, let it buzz 3 more times, each one shorter, more desperate. I flipped the phone over, set it face down on the counter, and slid it away. I haven't blocked her. That's intentional. I want her to see the read receipts. Want her to watch the silence take up space. Want her to know this quiet is not a fluke or some missed call. It's chosen. She thought she was being smart, thought I was weak, laid up and doped up. An easy mark. She thought signing those divorce papers was the win, the final round, but it wasn't. It was her cashing in the last chance. She had to do this quietly. And now I'm still healing. She's not. Recovery wasn't fast. It never is. It came in inches, not leaps. One day I could stand without help, another I could walk a full block without wincing. The first time I jogged, it was barely 10F'd, more of a stumble than a stride, but I remember feeling like I'd crossed a finish line no one else could see. These days I hit the gym most mornings. Nothing extreme, just movement, weight machines, low-impact treadmill work, light dumbbells. My spine's held together by titanium and history, so I know better than to push past what's smart. I don't chase PRs. I chase consistency, discipline, breathing through the work instead of bracing against it. I'm near 100% now. I still stretch like it's sacred. I still ice my lower back after long days, but I'm strong again, stronger than I've ever been. Not because I rebuilt my body, but because I rebuilt my boundaries. As for Cynthia, she's learning a different kind of lesson. The money she took, it didn't last long. That's the thing about unearned wealth. It burns faster than you think. She moved fast, too fast, thinking she'd grab the reins, thought she'd file for everything I owned, that she could carve up my life like a prize she was owed. She underestimated me. She thought I was a man who slept through his own downfall. She didn't know I was watching the whole time, quiet behind the curtain, waiting for the noise to clear, so I could rebuild cleaner, better without her fingerprints on anything. Now she works at a local diner, not even front of house. Back-end dish pit. I know because someone mentioned it offhand. Someone who didn't even realize they were giving me news. You know Cynthia? They said I think she's working over at May's Diner back by the sink. Rough break. I didn't say anything, just nodded. Didn't ask for more. I didn't need more. That's the thing about escape plans. They only work if you're running from something worse. Cynthia wasn't running from pain. She was running from boredom, from effort, from having to build something real. She thought freedom was on the other side of betrayal. But it wasn't freedom she got. It was the bill. And now she clocks in under someone else's name, scrubbing plates for minimum wage, probably wondering where it all went wrong. I'm not gloating. I'm breathing. I'm back to waking up with no fear, no noise, no weight on my chest that isn't just the barbell I chose to lift. She tried to take everything. What she didn't count on was that I'd already started letting go of her long before she packed her things. And now I don't carry her anymore. Not in my home, not in my heart, not in my spine. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.